know that friends are great. He, I'm pretty sure we all have one. But how much do we value our friendship? How much do we see? How much worth do we see to our friends? And do you simply just talk to each other like two coworkers, or in the break room, whom simply wave hi and continue on your way? E, or do you spend time with them, hang out with them, and talk about your interests? Yes. Usually, we all have a different way of making friends, and and whether it be upfront on as saying, "Hey, do you want to be my friend?" or or trying to fit in with a certain group first, or before you try and make friends. And sometimes most people will sometimes try to fit in before or they make friends. After all, the best way to find friends is to find friends with the same interests as you. Who, but usually, while people will try to fit in per se, they don't exactly act as well themselves. So whenever they talk, interact, act with their friends, and usually they'll practically speaking, he will always act different in towards their friends, and this goes the same way when and you're friends with a different in type of group with different interests. Okay. He, whenever you try to okay, usually when we try to fit in, usually when and also trying to find in a group with different interests, as it usually ends up the same. You act as if you're a different person, and put on an act what the people you befriended it would expect of you, and put on a different act for the different friend, and that expects you to that quote unquote knows how you act act. Usually, the best way to find in friends and act like well yourself is to find people with the exact same interests as you, instead of trying to find a different group with a different interest than you have and simply trying to fit in. And usually, when and people do that, they'll usually have friendships that are more close, I guess, as more close and more close, but and are more closer or have people who have the same um, um, usually your friendship if lasts is more closer than your friendship if is more closer than those of your friendship that have well different interests. But that doesn't mean in that said friendship is will usually depend on whether or not you have the same interests as or not. Usually you could probably act as well yourself some of in a different group with different interests than yours and you'll still find friends and 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 it could go the opposite way. He where your if you're friends with if somebody with a different interests as you're more or closer to them than and ones where you have the same interests. Yes. After all, well, if you have the same interests, you're going to only talk about that. Had. But if you're friends with somebody else with a different interest, as there's a lot you can learn from them, a lot of unique experiences you can get, and stuff like that. Had. But another thing is that while we are, or well, friends and have friends, sometimes we will always at least have a small bit of bias towards your friend. After all your friend and is well your friend, and of course you're going to see them in a more positive light than other people. Well, of course you're going to trust them more than and other people. Well, well, so usually, he, he, so sometimes, when you're friends with somebody, your or judgment can sometimes get a bit cloudy with your friends, and I, but of course that doesn't mean you can't and trust your friends. After all, they're your friends, and you became friends because as you trust each other, and well, well, you trust each other. But that doesn't mean you can just blindly follow them, I guess, as and act as a sort of yes man per se. He sometimes and sometimes friends can be well uh, not great for your or friendship with your friendship. Some people are just naturally mean or manipulative or a bit toxic, I guess. As as of course I don't have any experience, since all my friends are well good friends, and s- but even I can tell that some friendships are just somewhat doomed to fail, I guess. Yes. So what I'm trying to say is that at 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 hmm, what I'm trying to say is that friends are usually great people you can and trust alongside your family, of course. But sometimes you can also trust your friends more than your family. Y- y- So what I'm saying is that, well, friends are great. Y- y- And that's pretty much what my TED Talk is about. Yeah, thank you for listening to my TED Talk.